Devin Pike with the Dallas International Film Festival, and having its red carpet debut tonight is Joe. Phenomenal film, very powerful, and one of the leads is here, Tye Sheridan. Thank you for coming to Dallas. It's not that far of a drive from Elkhart, but a little bit.
Yeah, about 2 hours.
You have to have been born under a really good sign, because your last three directors, you go from Terrence Malick in The Tree of Life to Larry Nichols in Mud, and now David Gordon Green in Joe. So do people just like walk by and rub your head going, man, if I could just get some of the love from that? It has to be really heartening as an actor at any age to have that string of amazing directors working with you.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned luck, because my dad, he's kind of unlucky. Anytime we go into the airport, he always has to check in his bag, or he always, carries in his pocket knife. So, something always happens, and he always tells me, he always mentions that he feels like his luck comes through me. So,
talk a little bit about Joe, because it's an extremely powerful film, and it requires a lot out of not only you, but your co-star Nicolas Cage. And it's definitely not for the faint of heart, but how do you approach a role where going into it that you've got a lot of physical work, you've got a lot of mental anguish to work through, because every character is coming from a very vulnerable place and has to be, stronger than they even think is possible.
Yeah, well, I think what was most important for this film is just for the characters to feel real, because this is a totally character-driven movie, and that's why David went and casted a lot of non-actors. Our third lead of the movie was a non-actor, Gary Poulter, who passed just a couple months after we shot, unfortunately, but was a really talented actor and a really talented performer.
When you're looking at working with somebody like Nicolas Cage, or in your previous role with Mud with Matthew McConaughey, do you sit there and say, I'm just going to do my best performance, or do you feel like you have to hit it into a separate gear, knowing you're going to be sharing a lot of screen time with these guys?
Yeah, well, you always want to do the best job you can, and give 110% on everything you do. So that's always important to give it your all.
When you were in prep for it, was there any point where you're looking at the script, because like I said, I don't want to give bits of the way, because there's some amazing sequences in it to where you're as an actor and as a character, there's a lot of physical. It's a violent movie. It's not for the faint of heart. Were you looking at going, I think I might be in over my head at this point?
I read the script a couple times, and I felt very in tune with the story and the characters, and in my character specifically, and I didn't want to really mess with it. I just wanted to bottle it the best I could, and store it somewhere where I could pull it out when I needed to.
Contrast between Nichols and Green, because even though the films at first glance might be very similar, but as directors, they both have a very distinct style. Yeah. Not just from the people they cast or the films that they work with, but also the way that they shoot, edit, and so forth. Talk a little bit about the differences between the two.
Yeah, well, they're both extremely talented filmmakers. I know Jeff, he wanted to have as much Steadicam in Mud as he could, because he felt like the camera was a huge part of that movie, and he wanted it to flow like the Mississippi River, which we were shooting on. And David Gordon Green who's amazing, he's always open to anyone's ideas, and he's always open to improvising. Whereas Nichols is like he's more he bases the movie more off of his script.
Nicolas Cage, not exactly the most, what's the word I'm looking for, easy person to work with at times, but an incredibly giving actor on set, and you said 110%, which is, it's a crutch phrase, but you always wind up saying, with Nick, he never leaves anything on the field. Is there anything that sticks out in your mind from the shoot that, man, if I remember one thing about Nicolas Cage, it'll be this?
Yes. The first time I met Nick, of course, everyone knows who Nicolas Cage is, but when he introduced himself to me, he's introduced himself. He said, "Hey, my name's Nick." Where, you know, in comparison, like, some people would just assume that you already knew their name. So that was really, that really meant a lot. And no, we had a blast on set, and I think he's an extremely easy person to work with. I think he's extremely talented, and yeah, I was so fortunate to have been able to work with him.
Do you find that audiences are reacting the way you thought they would? Did you sit in on previous screenings of the film?
Well, the first couple screenings we screened in Venice, Italy, the Venice Film Festival, and then we screened in Deauville in northern France, and then we went on to Toronto. So they were really digging the film, but they didn't get some of the American humor. So when we premiered our U.S. premiere at South by, it was like a total change as in the audience reaction, because like they were like super enthusiastic and laughed throughout the movie, and it was really cool.
What's next for you?
I'm doing a movie called Scouts vs. Zombies in May, so that should be fun. It's like an action comedy thriller, and then I've got a couple movies that are in post-production right now.
So you're finally getting a breath. You're getting some lighter material, because that's one thing. Your career path has been such where you've got these really dense pieces, just thick with characterization and drama. Even though there is, like I said, a lot of humor in both Mud and Joe, but even just be able to breathe a little bit and show your lighter side.
Yeah, it's nice. I've always liked to make people laugh. When I could and when I had the chance and I had the opportunity. But I feel like, sometimes comedy can be just as hard as drama.
You had a phenomenal reaction at South by, and Dallas International will be the same way. But does the red carpet experience ever get old for you?
Yeah, I mean, from the get-go, I wasn't, too stoked about doing the red carpet. It just, not that I don't enjoy it. I do enjoy it. It's just something that didn't appeal to me as something that I looked forward to.
Fantastic. Well, I'm sorry to say you got to strap them on again and have another red carpet experience tonight at the Dallas International Film Festival. You can catch Joe nationally in the next couple of months. Make sure you catch it. It is a phenomenal film, extremely powerful, and a great performance by Tye Sheridan. Thank you so much for coming to Dallas.
Yeah,
Enjoy
thank
the rest
you.
of the festival, man.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.